The radio hissed with tension. Contact. We're surrounded. Multiple hostiles. Heavy fire on all sides. Need support now. Sergeant First Class Mark Thorne's voice cut through the static, clipped and strained. We're pinned inside the compound. RPGs, machine guns. We can't move. Casualties piling up. Enemies everywhere. At Camp Hawthorne in central Iraq, the quick reaction team scrambled to mount a rescue. But 2 kilometers away, on a barren ridge facing the city of Adira, Staff Sergeant Raina Calder had already seen the ambush taking shape. Through her scope at first light, she'd tracked 32 insurgents spreading around a derelict industrial site where the Ranger Patrol planned to stop for a short morning rest. She'd tried to warn them, but comms kept fading in the dense urban sprawl. Now her brothers were trapped in a kill zone, and Raina was the lone barrier between them and extinction. She pressed her eye to the M110's scope, locked on her first silhouette at 520 meters through haze and dust, slowed her breath, and squeezed the trigger. Drop a comment and subscribe, because what unfolded over the next 20 minutes became legend within the 75th Ranger Regiment. Staff Sergeant Raina Calder, 28 years old, U.S. Army Ranger, 5 years in the regiment, and 4 combat tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, 5'7", lean and hard-muscled from constant drills, dark brown hair braided tight, hazel eyes that read terrain like a map, originally from Philadelphia. She'd joined the Army at 21 after 2 years of college, targeting the Rangers and sniper school from day one. Her M110 semi-auto sniper system carried a loopholed Mark V scope, a suppressor to mask the shot, and a Harris bipod for rock-steady aim. She packed 180 rounds of 7.62mm match-grade ammo. Across 4 deployments, Raina had 178 confirmed kills, a count about to climb fast. The mission had begun 48 hours earlier when intel flagged a high-value target, an insurgent cell leader orchestrating IED strikes on coalition troops, operating out of Adira, 30 kilometers south of Baghdad. The Ranger Patrol, 12 men under Sergeant First Class Mark Thorne, was tasked with scouting the industrial quarter for safe houses and weapons stockpiles. Raina was assigned as their long-range overwatch, standard procedure for urban patrols in hostile zones. While the Rangers advanced on foot, she'd take position beyond the city's edge with clear lines of fire, ready to warn and protect from distance. She left base at 0300, moving under night to reach her post before sunrise. The ridge she chose rose above the flat desert, 800 meters from the compound, with unbroken views of every approach. By 0530 she was in place, camouflaged among rocks, rifle steady, scope sweeping the sector. At 0615, as the Iraqi sun burned off the cool air, Raina spotted the first fighters, 3 men with AK-47s moving purposefully through the industrial maze, clearing buildings. She tracked them carefully, noting their tactics and radio gear. These weren't wandering gunmen. They were organized, deliberate, setting a trap. Over the next 90 minutes, she watched more arrive in 2s and 3s, taking positions in structures around the abandoned compound, mounting weapons and establishing firing lanes. By 0800 hours, Raina had counted 32 insurgents armed with AK-47s, PKM machine guns, RPG-7 launchers, and even what looked like an old Dragunov sniper rifle. They were building an ambush. She keyed her radio. Overwatch 7 to Ranger 2-4. I have eyes on enemy movement in the industrial sector. Count 32 hostiles, heavy weapons, establishing ambush around Compound Delta. Static burst through the reply. Ranger 2-4, copy, interference heavy, continuing to checkpoint. The buildings were blocking signal. Her warning came through broken. They hadn't understood, and the patrol was still marching straight toward danger. Reyna tried again. Overwatch 7 to any Ranger element. Enemy ambush set at Compound Delta. Repeat, do not approach. More static, a faint acknowledgement. Nothing solid. At 08:30 hours, Thorne's unit entered through the southern gate, searching for a secure point to run their comms check with HQ. The insurgents waited with professional patience, allowing all 12 Rangers inside before they struck. The first RPG screamed from a northern rooftop, smashing the wall and spraying the patrol with concrete dust. A second later, every hostile opened up. Machine guns, rifles, rockets, turning the compound into pure chaos. The Rangers reacted instantly, diving behind barriers and vehicles, returning fire though they were outnumbered nearly 3-1, surrounded, trapped. That's when Thorne's frantic voice cut through. Enemies everywhere! Reyna already had her first target, northern rooftop, PKM gunner at 520 meters, hammering the compound non-stop. He leaned out for a better angle, half exposed. Wind, light, 2 miles from west. Range set, elevation adjusted. Reyna exhaled halfway, found her pause and squeezed. The M110 cracked softly through its suppressor. In her scope, the gunner folded backward. The PKM went dead. 1 down, 31 left. She shifted fluidly to her next mark. RPG operator, eastern building, 485 meters, prepping to fire again. She led him just a hair, pulled, and watched him drop before launch. 2 down. Third target, commander on the western roof, signaling orders with his radio. Her round hit high in the chest. He fell, radio clattering beside him. 3 down. The Rangers were fighting for their lives, but Reyna's precision was reshaping the battle. Fighters who seconds earlier were confident now dropped one by one, cut down by an unseen sniper beyond the city's edge. Fourth target, southern PKM nest, 505 meters, neutralized. Fifth, Dragunov sniper, northeastern roof, 610 meters, the deadliest threat to her and the team. She caught his shimmer through the heat, took her time, fired once. The hostile sniper slumped behind his rifle, 5 down in 90 seconds. Inside the compound, Sergeant First Class Mark Thorne orchestrated defense. 36, Georgia native, 14 years in uniform, 10 in regiment, battle-tested, unflinching, the kind who could keep men steady in hell. His face was etched by desert sun, movements sharp even under fire. "Second team, suppress that east building," he yelled, his drawl heavier under stress. "First team, prep smoke for withdrawal." Specialist Caleb Reed, 24, Brooklyn native on his third deployment, laid suppressive bursts with his M4 before realizing something had changed. The ex-college footballer moved with surprising quickness for his size, slipping behind cover as rounds cracked overhead. "Sergeant, those PKM positions are going quiet. Something's off." Drew Collins, 27 from Montana and the team's breacher and demolitions expert, pointed at the northern roof with one hand, while keeping his rifle ready in the other. His steady nerves came from a childhood hunting the Rockies, where patience and accuracy were drilled in early. "That machine gunner just dropped. Nobody from our angle hit him. Round came from outside." Mark Thorne understood at once. Someone was watching them from beyond their map. He keyed the radio. "Any friendly sniper elements on our position?" Reyna's calm reply cut through the static. "Overwatch 7. I have your coordinates, Ranger 24. Continue engaging close threats. I'm clearing the outer perimeter." Relief washed through Thorne. A sniper. Thank God. "Overwatch 7, we've got 12 Rangers pinned in Compound Delta. Multiple casualties. Need extract ASAP. Roger 24. I'm working the problem. Keep your heads down." Reyna methodically kept tearing the ambush apart. Her training taught her to take out heavy weapons first, then leadership, then anyone actively threatening friendly forces. She ran the plan like a machine. 6th target, RPG team, northern building at 530 meters. Gunner down, loader fled. 7th, fighter with an AK trying to flank from the east at 445 meters, down before he could reach position. 8th, PKM gunner who'd shifted to the southern building at 525 meters, down. The insurgents refused to relent. Realizing a sniper was killing their plan, some began searching for Reyna, sending blind fire up the ridge that kicked dust and rock chips around her hide. She didn't flinch. She'd been under fire before. Rounds cracked off rock and sent sparks, but her position offered solid cover. She kept engaging with disciplined focus. 9th target, spotter with binoculars on the western roof at 5 meters, eliminated before he could pinpoint her. 10th, insurgent moving an RPG to a better angle at 490 meters, down. 11th, radio coordinator at 510 meters, neutralized. Inside the compound, Thorne organized a fighting withdrawal. The Rangers moved in practiced teams, one element laying covering fire while another prepared to move. Classic infantry tradecraft executed under brutal pressure. Corporal Owen Cross, 22 from Texas, the youngest and newest Ranger, was terrified but functioning, training overriding the freeze of fear. His hands trembled slightly while changing mags, but he kept his weapon steady, putting controlled bursts onto muzzle flashes in the buildings. He'd grown up on a ranch and could shoot, but this was nothing like chasing coyotes at dusk. Staff Sergeant Elias Moreno, 33 from California and veteran weapons squad leader, directed his gunner with hand signals while coordinating with Thorne over the radio. His vest was scorched from a near-miss RPG, but he ignored the burn and focused on getting his men out alive. He'd watched too many Rangers die in ambushes to let this one become another. "Pop smoke," Thorne ordered. White smoke grenades went out, carving a swirling screen between the Rangers and the hostile positions. The compound filled with thick white smoke that hid everything in sight, yet gave the Rangers the screen they needed to shift positions. Reyna watched the haze pour up from the compound and instantly adjusted her approach. The smoke blurred her direct line of vision, but she could still track muzzle flashes on the outer edge. She kept firing at anything moving on the perimeter. 12th target, fighter creeping toward the compound under the cover of smoke at 455 meters. She caught him between two buildings, down. 13th target, PKM nest relocated to the northeastern structure, 595 meters. Down. Thorne's voice came through the radio. Overwatch 7, we're setting to breach west wall for extract. Can you suppress? Roger 24, I've got clear lines on the western building. Any hostile that shows himself, I'll drop him. Copy. Moving in 30 seconds. Reyna swung her rifle toward the western block, scanning through the swirling dust. 3 insurgents scrambled onto the rooftop, preparing to rain fire on the Rangers' escape route. She acted fast. 3 shots in 8 seconds. 3 fell. The ambush against their withdrawal died before it could start. "Western roof clear," she transmitted. "You're good to move." Through the smoke, the Rangers advanced, executing textbook fire and maneuver tactics. Moreno's machine gun team poured suppressive fire while the assault group rushed forward in 3 to 5 second bursts. Reyna tracked their movement, crosshairs sliding over windows and roofs, ready for any threat. Movement, 520 meters, RPG in a window. She fired before he aimed. Down. Another at 485 meters, shifting for angle on the moving Rangers, down before he squeezed. The team reached the western wall. Drew Collins, the breacher, set the charge while others covered. His hands didn't shake. Pure repetition from countless breaches guided him. The blast tore a hole wide enough for single-file passage. "Breaching!" Thorne called. Rangers flooded through into the alley, forming a defensive ring. The wounded followed, 3 with shrapnel wounds from the first RPGs, none fatal but all bleeding. Owen Cross helped carry one, fear gone, mind locked on saving his brothers. The insurgents pressed again, fighters from the south closing in to cut them off in the maze of alleys. Reyna spotted movement. "Stika. 2-4, you've got 8 hostiles pushing from your south, range 200 meters. They're trying to block your exit." "Can you hit them?" Thorne asked. "Negative. They're too close, buildings in my line. You'll have to handle it." "Roger. All elements. Contact, south." The Rangers prepped an instant ambush. When the 8 insurgents turned the corner, they walked straight into a storm of measured fire. Caleb Reed's strength kept his M4 locked and steady, dropping targets in tight pairs. Collins had set himself at a crossing angle, trapping them in a fatal crossfire. 15 seconds later, all 8 were down. The Rangers pushed on, weaving through the industrial ruins toward the open desert where the QRF was closing in from Camp Hawthorne. Reyna stayed on overwatch, glassing rooftops for stragglers. 5 fighters tried to engage from above. 3 went down to her shots between 540 and 580 meters. The rest ran. Thorne's patrol broke free of the district and dug in at a cleared lot, waiting for vehicle pickup. Against every odd, all 12 Rangers were alive after 23 minutes in a kill zone. Reyna had one final task to finish. Back in the industrial maze, the remaining insurgents regrouped, likely readying to chase the Rangers or ambush the incoming QRF. Reyna couldn't allow that. She methodically picked off visible targets across the compound and nearby rooftops. PKM crew shifting positions. Both dropped at 515 meters. 3 fighters huddled in talk, probably coordinating their next push, gone within 5 seconds at 495 meters. Another tried to recover weapons from fallen comrades, neutralized at 530 meters. By the time the QRF rolled in, 4 strikers carrying a full platoon, the battlefield had gone silent. Reyna had fired 127 rounds, tallying 38 confirmed kills and 11 probable, the latter obscured by smoke and distance. The ambush team of 32 had become a handful of survivors retreating into Adira's streets. Thorne's voice crackled over the net. "Overwatch 7, this is Ranger 2-4. All personnel accounted for, casualties stable, prepping for vehicle extract. Join us at pickup." "Roger 24, moving to your location now." Reyna cleared her rifle, packed her gear, and began the 2-kilometer trek to the Ranger position, navigating the rocky desert with disciplined caution. 40 minutes later, she reached the extraction point where the Rangers were loading into strikers. Thorne came straight to her, face streaked with sweat and dust, exhaustion mixed with raw gratitude. Despite the grime, his posture stayed sharp, though his eyes carried every emotion he tried to suppress. "Staff Sergeant Calder," he said, extending a firm, tired hand. "I don't know how to thank you. We were finished. That ambush was professional, planned, tight. We were outnumbered 3-1, no way out." He hesitated, voice thick. "Then you started firing and everything changed." Reyna shook his hand. "That's the job, Sergeant. Overwatch means keeping you alive. I just did what I was trained for." 38 confirmed kills in 23 minutes, Thorne said, shaking his head. "You didn't just cover us. You broke their ambush and saved 12 Rangers." Owen Cross approached. The strain of his first real firefight still etched across his face. His hands trembled faintly from leftover adrenaline, but he stood straight, meeting Raina's gaze. "Ma'am, I thought we were done. Not gonna lie, I was scared. But when those guns went quiet and the RPGs stopped, I knew someone up there was watching over us." His voice wavered. "Thank you for getting us home, for letting me see my family again." Staff Sergeant Elias Moreno joined in, vest still blackened from the RPG blast, his weathered face breaking into a smile. "Calder, I fought alongside snipers from every branch, Marines, Delta, you name it. But what you did out there was beyond anything I've seen. Precision under fire, perfect target calls, and pure control. You didn't support us. You saved us. You turned a slaughter into survival." He raised his fist. Raina met it. "Respect." Drew Collins, the quiet Montana breacher, stepped forward next. Normally stoic, but today, sincerity cracked through his calm. "Ma'am, I've been doing this 8 years. I've seen ambushes like that end badly every time. The only reason we're standing here is because you were on that ridge. You didn't miss. You didn't flinch. You just kept firing until we were safe. You're a true Ranger." Then Caleb Reed, the big ex-football player, came up grinning despite his exhaustion. "Staff Sergeant, I owe you a beer. Hell, a whole case. You just gave me the chance to go home and see my girl. Maybe finally start that family we keep talking about." "I won't forget this," Caleb said, voice thick, and Raina looked over the dozen Rangers, tired, filthy, some bandaged, but all alive. Each of them would return to their families, their futures intact, because she'd been up on that ridge today. The weight of that responsibility and the quiet satisfaction of having met it sat heavy in her chest. "Rangers lead the way," she said. "I just make sure the path is clear. That's what we do. We watch out for our brothers and sisters, always." Thorne's voice rasped with feeling. "You're one of us, Calder. Not because of the patch on your shoulder, but because you proved it today. When we needed someone most, you were there. That's what being a Ranger means." The convoy rolled back toward Camp Hawthorne across the Iraqi wastes. Strikers kept formation, gunners sweeping for threats. Raina rode in Thorne's vehicle with her rifle stowed, finally allowing exhaustion, 30 hours with hardly any sleep and non-stop combat, to catch up to her. Her shoulder ached from recoil, her eyes burned from hours behind glass, and her body felt the dull pain of keeping prone on that rocky ridge. Thorne sat opposite, studying her with a mix of curiosity and respect. "Can I ask you something?" he said. "When you saw that ambush forming this morning, when you realized we were walking into it and comms were trash, what went through your head?" Raina weighed the question. "I was asking how to be most effective from where I was, counting targets, prioritizing threats, doing the math on ranges and angles. I figured which shots would cripple their plan fastest. Heavy weapons first. Those PKMs and RPGs would have ended the patrol in seconds. Then leadership. Take out who's directing them. Then anyone posing an immediate danger to you guys," she continued. It wasn't about the odds or facing 32 insurgents alone. The equation was 12 Rangers plus 1 sniper versus an ambush that didn't know I existed. Surprise multiplies force. "So does precision and height," she added. "If I could neutralize heavy weapons and leadership fast enough to break their coordination, you could finish the rest. You're Rangers. You train for this. You just needed someone to tip the balance." Thorne smiled, shaking his head in disbelief. "A bit," he said. "You call cutting their force by 2/3 a bit? You Ranger snipers are a different breed. Ice water in your veins. Training and experience." He leaned forward. Fear's information. It tells you the stakes matter and you need to be sharp. You acknowledge it, compartmentalize it, and do your job. I couldn't afford fear when my guys were counting on me. Drew Collins, nearby, asked, "With every shot, what were you thinking? The person or the target?" Raina paused, picking her words with care. "I was thinking about you guys, keeping you alive. The people were threats because of the weapons they carried. My job is to remove the threat. I don't dwell on the person. I think about the weapon system, the danger it poses, and the most efficient way to stop it. That's how I keep this work from destroying me. Focus on protecting the team, not on taking lives." Caleb leaned in. "How do you keep so calm? Bullets were cracking all around." "Training," Raina said plainly. "Thousands of hours until the actions are automatic. Your body does the job even if your mind wants to panic. And experience. This wasn't my first fight. I trusted my position, my camouflage, and the fact that they were firing blind at our area. So I stayed steady and worked the problem. I knew that Ridge gave good cover, that my camo worked, and that the insurgents were firing blind at my general area without a fix on my position. So I stayed calm, held my spot, and kept working the problem." Owen Cross, the youngest ranger, asked softly, "Does it ever get easier? The fear? I was terrified today." Raina met him with understanding. "Fear's normal. It's healthy. It keeps you sharp and focused. It never fully goes away. You just get better at functioning with it. What changes is confidence in your training and your team. You learn to trust that you've been prepared, that your brothers have your back, and that if you do your job, you'll get through." She paused. "You did good today, Owen. You stayed in the fight, followed orders, and watched your teammates. That's all anyone can ask." The debrief at Camp Hawthorne ran 5 hours. Raina sat across from Colonel Mira Sutton, the battalion commander and combat veteran who rose through intelligence before taking command, alongside Maji, Ryan Cho, the ops officer, and Captain Ku, Elena Price, the senior intel analyst. They walked the engagement apart with methodical precision. Raina used aerial imagery to show her perch, the insurgent positions, fields of fire, and every target she'd engaged. Captain Price cross-checked her account with signals, intel, drone footage, and Thompson's after-action reports. 38 confirmed kills, Maji, Cho said, studying the data with obvious amazement, his analytical mind struggling to digest the numbers. Average engagement range 520 meters. Combat duration 23 minutes under direct fire at your position, a 94% hit rate under combat conditions. He looked up at Raina, usually reserved demeanor giving way to genuine awe. "Staff Sergeant, these are exceptional numbers by any standard. Some of the best I've seen in 20 years of combat reviews." "I had a good position and clear targets, sir," she replied. "The ridge gave me elevation, sight lines, and solid cover. They were focused on the compound, not on a sniper outside the urban area." Colonel Sutton leaned in, eyes sharp with the same analytical intensity that had made her an intel officer. "Raina, I've reviewed your full service record. 5 years in the regiment, 4 deployments, consistently outstanding ratings. What you did today shows not just technical skill, but tactical judgment, coolness under fire, and total commitment to your teammates." She paused for emphasis. "I'm recommending you for the Bronze Star with Valor. Your actions directly saved 12 Rangers who almost certainly would have been killed or captured," Sutton added. "Thank you, ma'am." "Just doing my Overwatch job," Raina said quietly. Your job is sniper work, Sutton replied firmly. What you did went beyond that. You made rapid tactical decisions in a fluid fight, adapted to changing conditions, kept precision under direct multi-directional fire, and literally changed the outcome single-handedly. You demonstrated the warrior ethos this regiment needs. Thorne, who'd sat quietly through the formal debrief, spoke up. Colonel, if I may, there's a tactical and cultural point to record. The ambush was set by professionals. Positioning, coordination, timing, and the patience to wait for perfect target acquisition. This wasn't amateur insurgents. It was a trained force executing a plan to wipe out a patrol. Staff Sergeant Calder defeated that plan through superior skill, tactics, and sheer determination, Thorne continued. She adapted faster than they could react, prioritized targets better than they could coordinate, and stayed effective under fire while they tried to suppress her. She's a credit to the regiment, exactly the kind of warrior we want to build. Colonel Sutton nodded, agreed. Raina, I'm also putting you up for accelerated promotion to Sergeant First Class and lining you up for senior sniper instructor and team leader duty, she added. The regiment needs operators with your level of skill not just to fight, but to train the next generation. You've got the technical skill, combat experience, and the knack for teaching that'll change how we train. 4 weeks later, Raina was back on a desert ridge overlooking a different city, but this time she wasn't alone. Private First Class Noah Lane, 21 from Louisiana and fresh out of sniper school 2 months earlier, sat beside her with his own M110, turning classroom drills into live practice. They were overwatching a patrol moving along the outskirts of Dar Rana, and Raina was running him through how to read terrain, spot patterns, and identify threats before they became active. Noah was keen, raw, and inexperienced, exactly the sort who needed combat mentorship to become effective. What do you see? Raina asked softly as both glassed the morning light. Patrol moving up Route Michigan, Noah said in a slow Louisiana drawl, concentrating. Civilians on the street doing their morning things. Vehicle traffic looks normal. Look closer. Third building on the left, second floor, window facing the road. Noah adjusted his scope and peered. I see, wait, is that curtain moving? No wind today, windows shut. Someone's behind it. Nice catch. Someone's watching the patrol from concealment. Could be curious. Could be a spotter. What do we do? Noah thought it through, recalling his training. Monitor, don't engage. Mark it and watch for more hostile indicators. Stay aware. Right. Good judgment. Patience matters as much as precision. We don't shoot without positive hostile intent. Keep eyes on that window and report any change. Over the next hour, Raina walked him through practical observation. How to separate normal civilian actions from tactical prep, spot weapons hidden under clothing, pick up insurgent comms patterns and pre-attack posturing, and read body language that signals hostile intent. When a suspicious car approached the patrol, a white sedan rolling slowly with occupants scanning their surroundings like they were casing the route, Noah saw it first. Vehicle approaching from the south, he reported, steady despite the adrenaline. Behavior's anomalous, too slow for normal traffic. Occupants conducting visual surveillance. Could be recon. Good eye. Range about 485 meters. Wind 3 miles right to left based on dust. What's your engagement call? Noah weighed options. Monitor, don't engage yet. Could be nervous civilians. Wait for positive indicators before committing lethal force. Correct, Raina said. That's patience and judgment. We have rules of engagement for a reason. You need clear, confirmed, hostile intent before pulling the trigger. Keep eyes on them. The car rolled past the patrol without incident. Suspicious at first, but ultimately harmless. Just nervous civilians being careful around armed soldiers. Noah took a quiet breath and learned an important truth. Not every anomaly means a shot, and discipline means knowing when not to fire. But 20 minutes later, two men appeared on a rooftop setting up an unmistakable RPG-7. Noah caught it immediately. Contact, rooftop, 610 meters. Two males, confirmed RPG. They're preparing to engage our patrol. Good identification, Reyna said evenly. You're cleared to engage. Take the shot when ready. He steadied his breathing, just like she'd drilled into him, calculated distance and wind, and fired. Through her scope, Reyna saw the gunner jerk backward and drop from the roof. Noah transitioned smoothly, struck the loader, and both threats were down before either could fire a single rocket. Both confirmed, Reyna said. Excellent shooting. You just saved American lives. How do you feel? Noah's breath came fast, adrenaline shaking his hands, but his face held steady confidence. Like I finally made a difference, like the training paid off. It did, Reyna said. 9 Rangers in that patrol are alive right now because you saw the threat and neutralized it before it could hurt them. That's what this job's about. Not glory or medals or numbers. It's about making sure our people go home. She paused. You did good today, Noah. Trust your training, trust your gut. You'll be a damn fine sniper. 6 months later, back at Fort Summit, Reyna stood in formation receiving her Bronze Star. The citation read before the assembled regiment. For heroic achievement in combat against enemy forces in Iraq, Staff Sergeant Reyna Calder distinguished herself through courage and exceptional skill when a Ranger patrol was ambushed by a superior force in the city of Adira. From an exposed ridge under direct enemy fire, Staff Sergeant Calder engaged 32 enemy combatants over a 23-minute fight, achieving 38 confirmed kills and breaking the ambush through precision and tactical mastery. Her actions directly saved 12 Rangers and embodied extraordinary valor in the face of overwhelming odds. Staff Sergeant Calder's actions reflected the highest traditions of military service and brought great credit to herself, the 75th Ranger Regiment, and the United States Army. Thorne stood among the audience with Moreno, Collins, Reed, and Cross, the very Rangers whose lives she'd saved that day in Adira. After the ceremony, they gathered outside in the soft Georgia sun. You know your story's part of Ranger School now, right? Moreno said with a grin. The sniper who came through the smoke and took apart an entire ambush to save a patrol. You're a legend already. The instructors use you as proof of what one soldier with skill and will can do when everything's collapsing. Reyna always told new sniper candidates the same thing. Being a sniper isn't about the longest shot, the kill count, or the medals. It's about being the one your teammates trust when everything's on the line. It's about staying calm when others panic, being precise when others spray rounds and pray, and guarding your brothers and sisters no matter how bad the odds look. And when students asked her about fear, being outnumbered, being under fire, having 12 lives depending on a single pull of the trigger, she always smiled faintly. Fear's just information, she said. It reminds you the stakes are real and that your work matters. You acknowledge it, respect it, then set it aside and focus on what you can control. Your breathing, your aim, your trigger, your target. Because somewhere down in that city, valley, or compound, Rangers are fighting for their lives and counting on you to be perfect when it counts most. She'd pause, let it sink in. That's not pressure. That's purpose. If this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe for more true tales of courage, only on Old Bill's Tales.